Manchester City's solution to two problem positions isn't as surprising as it looks. Manchester City look to have settled on a first-choice fullback combination, and the identity of the players is something of a surprise. While one Manchester City fullback was busy shackling Mohamed Salah, the other was having an impact at the opposite end of the pitch. Nico O'Reilly took another step forward as a left-back against Salah, and Matheus Nunes continued his own renaissance with a superb assist for Erling Haaland. This isn't what anyone expected to say at the start of the season, but are the Portuguese midfielder and the English midfielder now City's first-choice fullbacks? Their record together would certainly suggest so. When Nunes and O'Reilly start together in the fullback positions, City have won 11 games in a row. In 16 starts together in total, they have 14 wins, a goalless draw at Old Trafford, and a meaningless Carabao Cup defeat at Tottenham. It is 7 out of 7 this season, and both players are in excellent form. Nunes looks to have seen off a challenge from Rico Lewis at right-back, although Abdulkadir Kusanov was staking his own claim for that role before picking up an injury in September. The departure of Kyle Walker left Guardiola searching for a solution in that position, and Nunes looks like being the unlikely winner. That was a change from left-back being City's usual problem position, with the £31 million signing of Rayan Ait-Nouri from Wolves this summer, putting an end to that. But Ait-Nouri's early injury has reopened the door to O'Reilly, and the 20-year-old academy graduate has barged his way through it. He is now in the England squad as a left-back and is outstanding every week for City. He has the ability to make others play better, and the route back for Ait-Nouri looks a difficult one. The combination of the two is, in some ways, typical of Guardiola. He used to regularly use midfielders in full-back roles, inverting them into the middle of the pitch to add more control. Then, in the treble-winning season, he often used central defenders there, with power and physicality essential. In Nunes and O'Reilly, he has a bit of both. The two are midfielders by nature, but they are also strong and athletic players and tall for fullbacks. They could arguably tick both boxes, with the technicality of a midfielder and the power of a defender. Nunes has improved defensively this season. It has been made clear he has no future in midfield in this team, but Guardiola has regularly repeated his belief that the Portugal international has what it takes to be a right-back, and that is starting to come to fruition. O'Reilly's future could potentially still lie in midfield. He came on centrally in the early weeks of the season, but has been excellent at left-back again, and his performance on Sunday was impressive. Salah has been a nightmare for many years with his speed, said Guardiola. We said to Nico he had to be aggressive. Otherwise, every time Mo had the ball, he was helped with one or two central defenders, and Jeremy and Bernardo and Phil. The team worked incredibly, and defensively they were really good, especially in the first half. Nico made a step up because you have to prove how you behave against the best wingers. It is no bad example to do that against Salah. Plenty of pieces are starting to fall into shape for this City side, and amongst them are two unlikely candidates making the full-back positions their own. Gianluigi Donnarumma was the odd man out in Manchester City Masterclass. Manchester City goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma watched and admired as his teammates played the ball up the pitch. Gvardiol to O'Reilly to Foden to Gonzalez to Doku to Gonzalez to Cherki to Gonzalez to Nunes to Silva to Nunes to Cherki to Diaz to Cherki to Nunes to Cherki to Gonzalez to Gvardiol to Diaz to Nunes to Haaland. 1-0 to Manchester City. Pep Guardiola is understandably pleased about the improvements that have been made to his side this season. New players such as Nico Gonzalez and Ryan Cherki have helped, as has a reduction in injuries and the deeper role of Phil Foden. If last season saw the City boss lamenting the difference between his team and the clubs that played modern football, such as Bournemouth, Brighton and Newcastle, after his 1,000th game in management, he has done enough to catch up with his team sitting 4 points off the top of the Premier League table. We can play in different ways now, he said after the 3-0 win over Liverpool. I think we are more unpredictable in the way we attack and the way we defend, and that is good that the opponents maybe don't know what we are going to do. City's tactics certainly confused Arne Slot, with the Liverpool manager admitting after their defeat that they were not prepared for the home team making the midfield so congested. We were constantly coming up 2 players short in the middle because Doku and O'Reilly gave us a lot of problems, he said. That may be a novel approach for the season, But City's overall philosophy hasn't changed, and the first goal against Liverpool showed it. Josko Gvardiol started it off as he slid in to send the ball in the direction of Nico O'Reilly near their own corner flag. 73 seconds later, the ball had just been touched by the 10th City player after 19 passes of the same move, and Erling Haaland was wheeling away to celebrate his header dropping into the net. A vintage Guardiola goal to mark a landmark occasion. The same was true last week against Bournemouth, if not quite as good. Both the second and the third goals in that game involved 9 City players. Quite revealing for the second in particular, given it looked as simple as Ryan Cherki flicking the ball through for Haaland to run onto. City are different this season and have adapted to changes in the modern game, yet their DNA is still unmistakably the Guardiola genes that have been so apparent from Barcelona to Bayern and then to the Etihad. Given there were still questions early this season about whether the coach would be able to bottle that up again, 10 players against Liverpool did that, while Gianluigi Donnarumma happily watched on. What Pep Guardiola did with Etihad crowd showed Man City have a new superstar. Manchester City turned on the style to beat Liverpool 3-0 at the Etihad, in a result that could have a defining impact on the title race this season. Manchester City delivered a statement win as they beat Liverpool 3-0 at the Etihad to close the gap on Arsenal to 4 points at the top of the Premier League. The Blues took advantage of the Gunners' stumble at Sunderland on Saturday to thrash the defending champions and mark themselves out as the likely challengers in what is shaping up to be a 2-horse title race. Erling Haaland missed an early penalty, but then scored a header to give City the lead. Nico Gonzalez's deflected shot doubled the lead before the break, and Jeremy Doku capped an excellent individual performance with a stunning goal to make it 3. Conor Bradley was the toast of Anfield on Tuesday after pocketing Vinicius Jr. in Liverpool's win against Real Madrid, but he found life an awful lot harder against Jeremy Doku at the Etihad. Doku popped up on the right at times in the early stages of this game, but quickly decided his best chance of success was on the left. Bradley was worried by the sight of the winger running at him, and it was a major outlet for City. It was a defensive mess that led to Doku getting it to win the penalty, but it only added to Bradley's nerves, and he was on his heels every time his opponent lined him up for a run. Time and again, Doku burst past the Northern Ireland international and into the box. City's game plan became simple because Doku made it simple. His performance deserved a moment, and he delivered it with the spectacular third goal, cutting infield and sending a curling shot into the top corner. On the touchline, Guardiola raised both hands in the air and started conducting the celebrations behind him. That's now 7 goal involvements in 16 games this season for the 23-year-old, and he looks to have gone to another level. Guardiola orchestrating the crowd suggests he agrees. Much is made of Anfield being the only Premier League ground where Haaland is yet to score, but his record in general against Liverpool isn't brilliant, having scored just once in 4 league fixtures against the Reds leading into yesterday, when he missed the early penalty more on which below he might have felt that familiar pang of worry against Liverpool. But this is a Haaland who has gone to another level this season, and he shrugged off that blow to finish brilliantly when he got another opportunity. The pre-match debate had centred around the battle between Haaland and Virgil van Dijk, and it's certainly one of the heavyweight clashes in the league, but the Norwegian got his success by peeling off the back of Ibrahima Konate instead. It was intelligent play from the striker. There was plenty of crowing on Merseyside when Liverpool signed Florian Wirtz this summer, beating City to the signature of the German international, with the Blues pulling out as the fee for a 22-year-old who had never played outside the Bundesliga rose to 9 figures. What a waste of money, sang the Etihad, as another Wirtz corner failed to beat the first man. It was a surprise he lasted 83 minutes before finally being withdrawn with cheers ringing in his ears. This wasn't a great day for Ryan Cherki either, but Wirtz's struggles sum up Liverpool. He is failing to produce the goods on the ball and is too lightweight. He was easy for City's defenders to knock off the ball. City have never had a brilliant record on penalties under Guardiola, and although it's hard to make the case that Haaland shouldn't be taking them, he has now missed 3 of his last 6 for the club. His effort against Liverpool was poor, and if Georgi Mamardashvili guessed correctly, he was always likely to make the save. This fixture has also been a frustrating one for City, who have missed 4 of their last 5 penalties against Liverpool in the Premier League, dating back to Riyad Mahrez smashing a late spot kick over the bar in front of the Anfield Road stand in October 2018. Kevin De Bruyne and Ilkay Gundogan are the other guilty parties, and it kind of sums up the way this game often goes for City. Haaland's towering header to open the scoring was another masterful moment from a number 9 who can do it all, apart from scoring every penalty he takes. But as Haaland raced towards the northeast corner of the stadium to celebrate, Matheus Nunes clenched his fists and marked the goal by roaring in delight to the northwest corner. Haaland will hog the headlines as usual, but Nunes deserved plenty of credit for delivering a quite brilliant assist. His out-swinging cross was perfectly placed over the head of Konate and to Haaland. It wasn't just the cross either. It was the intelligence to dummy his first attempt. Forcing Andy Robertson to back off and buying himself a yard of space, it was another big moment for Nunes, who has locked down that right-back role at the moment and looks. Gary Neville breaks his own rule as Manchester City hammer Liverpool in title race boost. Manchester City star Jeremy Doku's sensational display against Liverpool in the Premier League prompted Sky Sports pundit Gary Neville to break tradition. Gary Neville admitted he did something he never usually does during Manchester City's dominant Premier League win over Liverpool. Goals from Erling Haaland, Nico Gonzalez and